Hi friend, how are you? I am joining the site. I love tricot.com.er and welcome everyone to our knitting notebook on the internet. Today I bring you another beautiful stitch recipe, easy, great for you to apply in your creations and recipes in general. The written recipe for you to print and save is on our website ilovetricot.com.
Enjoy this video.
Comment and play in groups.
Crafts.
Family gathering calls everyone to join tricot along with us. I'll stick around, grab the needles and let's knit.
In knitting, I will put on the needles a number that is a multiple of 10. As I will only do one repeat of the stitch, I will put only 10 stitches on the needle by the traditional method. When you finish putting the 10 stitches, you should add 3 more stitches. And so we can start the first career. In the first career, we started doing in half. Here we have so we repeat, loop 3 stitches in half double mate, that is, without weaving a stitch in half. We return those stitches that were not knitted over the stitch we just knitted. This is a type of reduction which can be done in other ways too, as I'll show you in the upcoming rows. Now 3 stocking stitches, looped on the needle, 1 stocking stitch. We close the soites, and the end point is a half stitch on the inside outside. In the second row, we'll knit all stitches. In the third row for the right side, we start with, in stockinette stitch, we start the making a stitch in stockinette stitch, looped on the needle. In half double stitch, therefore we pass. Without knitting, we make 16 and return the stitches without knitting them over the worked stitch. In half loop on needle and in half. Again we end the tool with a point in half. The fourth row, inside out, is a row where all stitches will be made in knitting, and it is important to remember to keep the loops in all rows. Pairs, that is, the careers inside out like holes. If you have difficulty in this technique, comment that I send you a video teaching you how to do this in career number 5. We start with the first 2 points in sock in. Let's do it again. In sock. Looped on needle 1 stitch in half. Double mate. Without knitting a half stitch, we return the stitches without knitting over the worked stitch, a half stitch. Lace 3 stitches in half. We finish with just 1 point in half. The 6th row on the reverse side is also with all stitches in knitting. For career number 7, let's do in half. At the beginning of the career, we start with 3 stitches in sock, then a loop on double mat needle. Without knitting a stitch in sock, we return them without weaving. Loop on needle 4 stitches in half. And we finish with just 1 point, which is a point in half. We turn the work to the 8th row, in which all stitches will be made in knitting again. In the 9th career, we will start with a point in half, followed by together in half. Here we start the mardelade with 3 stitches in stocking, followed by a loop on the needle, 1 stitch in sock, loop on needle, 3 stitches in sock. What about the recipe? Tell him to double mate, but when you get to the last 3 points, finish with single mate so that the score is correct. We end up here with the sage, and the end point of the career is a point and a half. Turn the work inside out again, and the 10th row is with all stitches in knitting. In row number 11, let's start with 1 stitch in sock, followed by together in sock, and here we start the doing. In sock, loop on needle, 3 stitches in sock, loop on needle again, in sock. And here the recipe tells you to make now a double mate. But if you get to the last 3 points, you end up with simple mate and a point in half turn. Work, the 12th row is with all stitches made in knitting. In the 13th career, we started with a point in half, followed by together in half. Here we start with 1 stitch in 61 loop, 5 stitches in half, again 1 loop, 1 stitch in half. And double kill, but if you are at the end with 3 stitches on the needle, replace the double mate with a single mate. The end point is a half point. Turn the work upside down, and the 14th row is also a row in which all stitches are in knitting. In the 15th career, We started with point in half, followed by together in half. Here we start with a loop on the needle, followed by 7 stitches in sock. We make a second loop.
Moreover, you need to double mate at this spot. However, if you're at the final 3 points of your career, a simple mate will suffice. The conclusive point is halfway, then switch to the final row, and on the 16th, make all points in point. Knitting, now, you must repeat rows number 1 to 6. Here I have this design on a larger sample, so you can see the effect of the stitch repeated 3 times with a larger needle. This is the dot on the right, and it's also very beautiful on the reverse side, where everything stays in dot. Knitting. I hope you enjoyed this step by step. Do not forget that the written recipe is in the description of the video.
A hug and see you next time.